Hello, my name is Jess and welcome to my, let's try that again. Hello, my name is Jess and welcome to my channel. This is a channel that started off as mainly vlogs. Now we're going on to BookTube and the books I read. This is my first Buzzwordathon reading video. So this is January's. January's word for the Buzzwordathon is dream. Originally, I only had one book for Dream on my TBR for the month of January, and that's The Dream Daughter. I've bought this second hand, so it's already nice and bent, as you can see there. So at least I can stretch the book out, which I do enjoy doing. So The Dream Daughter is the first one I'm going to read. I am also going to reread Darkly Dreaming Dexter. Now, I read the first 2 or 3 books in the Dexter series. This is by Jeff Lindsay, and I've got hiccups. And they gave me nightmares. They terrified me, but I'm gonna try again. I don't know what would have changed, but a lot of the plot has stuck with me and I feel okay about it-ish. So I'm gonna try reading that again. So I've got 2 here. I've also got another book on the word. What's happening? I've got another book on the way which is called In the Dream House, and I'm going to try and read all 3. Okay, we're going to start with The Dream Daughter. I will read the back. However, we all know I'm not very good at this. If you're new around here, check out my other videos. If I read the back of books, it usually gets just as messed up as me talking right now. Let's just go with this, yeah? Jess in real life, that's what this should be called. Not this book, this channel. Unedited Jess. When Caroline Sears receives the news that her unborn baby girl has a heart defect, she is devastated. It is 1970, and it seems there's nothing anyone can do. But her brother-in-law, a physicist, tells her that perhaps there is. Hunter had shown up in their lives just a few years before, and his appearance was as mysterious as his past, with no family, no friends, and a background shrouded in secrets. Hunter embraced the Sears family and never looked back. Now, Hunter is telling her that something can be done about her baby's heart, something that will shatter every preconception Caroline has. Something that will require a kind of strength and courage she never knew existed. Something that will mean a mind-blowing leap in faith on Caroline's part. And all for the love of her unborn child. It sounds deep. We're gonna dive right in. Just looking if I've heard about quite a few of her books. I don't think I've read any before. She's written a fair few. April 1965. Chapel Hill, North Carolina. No one wanted to work with the man in the wheelchair. There's something strange about that guy, one of my fellow students warned me in the hall outside the PT ward. If they try to assign you to him, say no. I remembered this warning now as I stood in the doorway between my supervisor, Betty Connor, and the ward's director, Dr. Davies. Still, I was curious about the man who sat in the wheelchair by the window. A cast on his lower leg and foot. Crutches rested against the windowsill next to his chair. He was about a decade older than me, maybe 30 or so. He looked unkempt, his blonde hair on the short side. His facial features were slack, his eyes half closed. I could see the shadow of stubble on his cheeks and chin. How about the patient for Caroline? Betty asked Mr. Davis. Broken ankle, is it? Mr. Davis nodded. Light from the ward's windows bounced off his glasses. Displaced fracture, followed by surgery. So, I just read you a page of the first page of The Dream Daughter. Now I'm going to sit down to read a couple more pages. I thought it'd be quite interesting in this video of my first Buzzwordathon book to just read you a couple more pages. Betty turned to me. You haven't yet worked with a broken ankle, have you? She asked, and I shook my head with some reluctance. I'd been a student intern in a private rehabilitation facility for the last 2 months. But this was the first time in the hospital ward, and although I was excited to get started, my fellow students' warning echoed in my ears. Say no. Still, the man in the wheelchair looked harmless enough. I think it would be a good case for her, Becky says to Mr. Davis. I think not, he said. He was holding several manila folders in his hands, and he tapped the top of the one with his knuckles. The fellow's name is Hunter Pole, he said. He sustained the broken ankle falling off a 3-story building, or so he says, but we think he intentionally jumped. He's alive only because some shrubbery broke his fall. He refuses to learn to use crutches. None of our PTs have been able to get him to talk, much less engage in any therapy. He's suffering from depression and... Oh, I think I heard about him, Betty cut him off. Didn't he say he was working on the roof and just slipped? That's what he told the driver of the ambulance, but his explanation doesn't hold water. Mr. Davis tucked his free hand into his pants pocket. It was 9 o'clock at night, for starters, and there were no tools found on the roof or the ground. So you tell me if that sounds like he was working. We have him on suicide watch. Next up for him is psychiatric unit, if he doesn't begin to come around today or tomorrow. Hello, checking in with an update. I didn't think I was going to get any reading done at all today just because my head hurt so much, but I picked this up. I'm only on chapter 2, but already I've created tabs and I've wrote 2 pages in my notebook of notes on this book already. I feel like I'm actually not just fully invested in this book, but I feel like I'm studying it. It's just, I'm only like 26 pages in and it's a piece of art. It's wonderful, it's beautiful. I can't wait to share more with you. I can't wait to read more, but my head still hurts. I'm gonna take a walk with the dogs, just a peaceful walk. And then I'll come back. Don't know if I'll read anymore, but I'll check in with an update when I don't feel like I'm dying. It just hurts a lot. I was watching a couple of booktubers and someone was talking about how their mood affects their reading and their rating and things like that, and I really feel the same. Like, I do think how I feel does affect my final rating and my reading. I have been making some book notes, and the first thing that I wrote down was about the prologue. I also made note of the date, so it's 1965. The prologue, the first 2 pages sucked me in straight away. Now, the prologue is relevant to the story in ways you don't realise when reading it. It's very clever and very well done, but the writing style just really drew me in and I wanted to know more. I do like it when you're reading a book and what's on the back of the book, the main parts of the story happen right at the start, so that way you're left wondering what else is going to happen because you already know everything that has then happened and you're only a couple of chapters in. It's going through your mind, where does it go from here? I'm sorry if you can hear dog noises. There's a puppy on the bed. You're introduced to the characters. I am going to try to keep it as spoiler free as possible. However, with this type of book, it's going to be extremely hard to do. So from the prologue, you've got Carly, who has just started a job as a PT, and she is about to be given her first client. And straight away, you've got quite a bit of mystery about this man. Chapter 1, you realise that this man becomes her brother-in-law. He is Hunter. And you learn a lot more about him as it goes on. So Carly has lost her husband to the war. So chapter 2 goes into 1970. So you're 5 years further on in this book. She finds out that she's pregnant and there's something wrong with the child and it may not live past birth. So they drive for about 6 hours to this specialised hospital where they can do a scan to really see if there is something wrong with the baby. Hunter has pulled strings, he's made sure she can get an appointment, and yes, there is something wrong. On page 35, there is a whopper of a reveal. If you don't want to know what it is, then you can skip this part and I will put a title up saying final book review where I will talk about it and you can skip to that. Hunter tells her he is from the future. I did not expect this book to involve time travel. I thought it would make the book a bit cheesy, a bit cringe. It hasn't at all. He explains how Hunter wants to send Carly to 2001, where he knows that she can get surgery to help her child. He then plans on her returning to the 1970s, where she can rejoin her family with a healthy baby girl. She has to learn a lot of ways about 2001. She's amazed at telephones, like mobiles, iBooks. I even forgot what an iBook was. When I was reading this, I was like, what do they mean iBook? Don't they mean iMac or iPad? I forgot iBooks came first. Wow, Jess. Wow. Starting to become very emotional. Hello. We have finished The Dream Daughter. Look at all the tabs. This should mean that I enjoyed this book, right? Surely that's what this should mean. I'm giving this 2 stars, and you may be surprised considering the rest of this video I've been going, this book is fantastic. Well, friends, I can tell you now, this book became, Donnie's having a drink, it became somewhat boring, somewhat annoying. Do you know what? The time travel aspect of it, I really liked. I'm not a huge fan of time travel. I don't absolutely love it. However, in this video, the time travel part was actually pretty good. They didn't go into it too much as to how to time travel, things like that. But I thoroughly enjoyed that aspect of this book. The mother-daughter bond, how she'll do anything to get her daughter back. I soon got fed up. It started off strong, the writing was good. You don't get to know an awful lot of the characters. You don't get much character development. It is solely story based and it did get drawn out. I did get fed up. There was a point where I was also gonna feel quite upset, but I do think that was partly because I was feeling quite down and it wasn't solely the writing that did that. I'm giving it 2 stars. I got to the point where I really couldn't be bothered anymore. I was fed up. I've got all these tabs marking the significant moments where she almost lost her daughter or got quite upset. Kind of all the orange ones are Carly's kind of significant moments. Then the blue ones are Hunter's mum. So she played a part and she was quite an odd character. Quite an odd character. The green was her sister telling her that she didn't care that her niece was stuck in a different time. So again, significant moments from her sister. There aren't many of those. The yellow was Hunter's moments. Again, there wasn't an awful lot, but I tried. Next, I have started reading Darkly Dreaming Dexter. Now, I have read this book before and it did freak me out the first time I read it, but I want to give it another go. I love the series so much that I am giving this book another go for the Buzzword Readathon. and I've just started it, and I do remember why I originally started really liking this book. So we're going to give this another go, and then I don't know if I'm going to get around to In the Dream House. Again, this is kind of quite a deep book, and I don't know if I'm the right mind space for it. Mind space, headspace, you know? So we'll wait and see. However, I will check in when I've got an update on Darkly Dreaming Dexter. I believe we are getting used to the sound of my heater being on in my bedroom, right? I'm not overly happy with how this video's been going. I think I wanted a better video for my Buzzwordathon reading challenge, but this is what we've got for the first one. I'm going to work on a better video for the second one, which would be February. We all know I read The Dream Daughter. If you didn't know, if you kind of skip the spoiler part of the story, you can, if you go into Goodreads, most of the reviews have what's meant to be kind of the big twist or reveal, but it's only on page 35, so it's not that far in. It was exciting and I did like that aspect, and I really enjoyed that. I got really fed up with this book. I think it was too long for what it was doing. It's very much story based, and I like to support characters or really get into the characters' minds, things like that. And you did get into the mother, Carly's, mind quite a bit, which was okay. I just got really fed up. It starts off really well, the story building, everything around it, really exciting, really good. And then it just got to a point where, yes, there was some emotional ties. I was disappointed with how things turned out, but it could have been worse. Yeah, it could have been better. I don't know. I gave it 2 stars. I'm not a big fan, but I can see why people do love it. Next up, I read Darkly Dreaming Dexter. I went and bought myself a second copy. I do want to actually collect all the copies of these books. So these are the first 2 I've managed to pick up. That's the back. These 2. And this one is in a bit better condition. So this one I've decided to kind of put my tabs in, to kind of mark pages. It's a bit more creased on the spine. It's been a bit more, like, pages have been bent in this one and things, which I don't mind, and I quite like it being small and dark and a bit more loved, bashed up, however you want to word it. I like that. So both the same book, but I purchased this one because it was a different cover. I've also purchased another cover which has got Dexter from the TV series on the cover of that one. With this book, Dexter is a TV series, and it is based off of the books by Jeff Lindsay. If you haven't seen the show, it was on Netflix. It will probably return to Netflix. Watch it. It's incredible. I don't care that it's 15 years old. It is brilliant. The last couple of series, bit rubbish. However, starts off amazing. So book 1 is exactly like season 1 of the TV show. However, it is darker. There are some differences. Everything about this book I loved. I gave this 5 stars. I've read it twice now. I also listened to it. I've marked a couple of things that I thought would be quite interesting to talk about. If you don't know what Dexter is about, Dexter has something dark inside of him. Dexter doesn't believe he's human. He talks about himself as more of a monster because he has the urge to kill. He calls this his dark passenger, so he believes there's someone else in his head, which he calls the dark passenger, telling him that he must kill things. So his foster father, Harry, then teaches him a code to help quiet down the dark passenger so it kind of fulfills his needs in a constructive way. Dexter becomes a serial killer who kills people that are bad, like that need to be arrested. So like rapists, murderers, things like that. He kills people that have done wrong. So he's like playing God in a sense. If you believe in God, that's one way to put it. He believes this dark passenger is inside his mind. He works for the FBI. He's a blood splatter analyst. So he follows along for crime scenes and tells them how they were killed based on where the blood splatters are. However, the case in this, there is no blood. No splatter, no stain, no blood at all. Why hadn't I thought of that? It felt like a missing piece to something I didn't know was incomplete. So Dexter finds it beautiful. He finds it's a form of art. He is really supportive of this killer. Dexter believes he can't love. Talks about date night. Friday night, date night in Miami. And believe it or not, date night for Dexter. Oddly enough, I had found somebody. What? What? Deeply dead Dexter? Sex among the undead? Has my need to intimate life gone all the way to faking orgasms? Breathe easy. Sex never entered into it. After years of dreadful fumbling of embarrassment trying to look normal, I had finally hooked up with the perfect date. Rita was almost as badly damaged as I am. So Rita is Dexter's girlfriend. She married too young and was in an abusive relationship. When she got out of that, she managed to get divorced and is now dating Dexter because they are both in agreement that they don't have sex. It does amaze me in this book how Dexter seems to be the only one that is fairly good at solving the case. There's not many detectives on this case that are really thinking of what could possibly be driving this person or trying to catch them. It's just amazing to me that the serial killer is the best one to find the serial killer. This part I did really like. How wonderful to have such an authentic human experience. I thought about the nice clothes I always wore. Well, of course I did. I took pride in being the best dressed monster. I'll just read this last part. So, another thing I marked was, another beautiful Miami day. Mutilated corpses with a chance of afternoon showers. I got dressed and went to work. I just think this book is so well written. It's so gripping. I just think if you're into kind of thriller, mystery, or even a bit of horror, pick this up. Now lastly, for the Buzzwordathon, I'm dressed obviously to match this book. No, I didn't. It's just happened. So this is In the Dream House by Cameron Maria Mercado. This is heavy stuff. This is a memoir and it's deep. I jumped from listening and reading this. It's such a nice copy of the book. This doesn't actually show how far through I am. I have almost completed this, but I jumped between the two, and I will say the audiobook is amazing. Also, the audiobook for Dexter. So I did read reviews where people were like, oh, it's a shame that Michael C. Hall, the actor that plays Dexter in the TV show, didn't narrate it. However, when the author narrates their own book, I think that is perfection, because that is how they wanted you to hear the story. For example, the Dark Passenger in the book of Dexter, he's got his own voice. So when he's controlling the body that is Dexter, it's deeper, and he says we instead of I. So the Dark Passenger talks for both of them, whereas Dexter just talks for himself, which doesn't actually happen in the show. Anyway, back to In the Dream House. This is so heavy, so moving, so sad, so gripping. It's 5 stars. I still have a chapter or so to go from listening to the audiobook, so I'll talk more about this one in my wrap up, but I know it's going to be 5 stars. It's just incredible, and I don't know if I'm going to be that keen to pick this back up very quickly, just because the topic is so heavy. It is a memoir, but it's got a lot of same-sex abusive relationships. So it's female-female relationships, and it's an abusive relationship, and that doesn't sound like the ideal book, does it? However, it's written amazingly well, and I am sad for her. However, I do know that the author is now in a better place, and she wanted to get her story out there, and she's done it in a truly amazing way. Let me just show you. So the chapters are like super short. So dream house as apartment in Philadelphia, dream house as deja vu. So it's dream house as something else, and it's almost like diary entries, snippets of her life, but the way it's told, it's beautiful. It's almost like reading a novel or a piece of fiction. It's hard to imagine this being someone's actual life, in my opinion. But there we go. It's quite funny that I've read 3 books for the month of January, which is Dream. However, this book I thought I would love. These 2 were just kind of extra add-ons. This one was a 2-star, these were 5-star. It turned out to be completely different to what I thought it was going to be. But there we go. I've done it. I've done the Buzzwordathon challenge really late in January. When February comes around, the 1st of February, I'm picking up my book and I'm gonna do a better video than this one. Everything was deep, these 2 especially. I feel emotionally drained. I think I'm going to try and plan or note more of what I want to talk about, because that might help me, especially with wording things. I watch other booktubers and they explain things so well. So I'm going to try harder. I look a bit fluffy. I've washed my hair again. I always seem to film in this video once I've just washed my hair. I hope you appreciate my natural face. I'm going. Goodbye. There we go.